make it so it doesn't
Hi
flip back and
guys, it's
forth.
Emily Swank with Autism Assistant here, and we are doing another installment of our featured provider interviews. And as you know, I love doing these because I think it gives prospective clients a chance to get to see a little bit more about the provider they're interested in and learn a little bit more about what they do and their inspiration behind it. So today we have Dr. Chris Boman with Trailhead Family Chiropractic. Hi, Chris.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for being here. I'm excited. As I was telling you, you're the first chiropractor on our site that specializes in working with children with autism and things like that. So I'm excited for me to get to learn more, for the audience to get to learn a little bit more. So I would say let's just jump right in and tell us a little bit about what you do, kind of the area you're located, who you work with, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'd love to. And I'm sure we'll dive in more of the details of, why I started to pursue this little niche of chiropractic. But yeah, my name is Dr. Chris Boman. I'm a pediatric and family chiropractor. I'm located in Southern California, kind of smack dab in the middle between San Diego and Orange County, a little town called Temecula. We've been made famous recently because they've been defying Governor Newsom's orders with the lockdowns and whatnot. So it's funny, more and more people are learning about our town because we're making the news. But anyways, yeah, I founded Trailhead Family Chiropractic in 2018. I graduated chiropractic school in 2015, so I've been practicing for, I guess, going on 6 years now. And I love working with this population, with the kids and with the parents. It's just a completely different mindset, when you're working with the special needs population. And so I'm happy to share more of my expertise and really just connect, with moms like you that's like, I want the best for my kids, and I have never heard of this before. So why do I need it? What makes it special? What do I look for? And so those are the things I'm excited to get into.
Yes, we are always looking and always excited to find someone that offers something new we've never tried it and give it a try. Why not?
Right.
So why are the services that you offer, why can they be so helpful to autistic children?
Sure. And go ahead and give me like a hand signal if I start going like too deep into the science, because you get me going and I'll just keep on going down the rabbit trail. But the difference between care from a chiropractor and care from really any other medical professional, all the way up to doctor, down to, ABA or speech or, whatever, is we operate in a different paradigm. And there's two different paradigms that you can look, have a health lens. And it's not that one is good and one is bad. You need, both of them at times. But one of them is a pathogenic model, and that we call it the allopathic, or more of the medical mindset, where you have a problem, you need to figure out where the problem, came from, and then do things to either cover up the problem. The unfortunate thing with this is most people confuse the problem for symptoms. And so you have, symptoms and then problem. Most people are only treating this and never actually getting to the deeper level beneath it. The other model in which chiropractors practice, we call it the salutogenic model, where we're not necessarily identifying problems as much as we are adding health into the body. So that way, no matter what you're struggling with, because I know the quote, you meet one kid with autism, you meet, one kid with autism. Everybody is different. And so it's not necessarily that we're treating a specific aspect of autism as much as we are adding health back into the body. So that way that individual kid or adult or teen, whoever it is able to begin to express their health to the optimal potential, whatever that might look like. And so breaking that down kind of a little bit more fine-tuned, what I look for is something called the subluxation in the spine. The subluxation is when joints and the vertebrae aren't moving the way they're supposed to, okay? This is really, really important, not just from a musculoskeletal degeneration, muscle spasmy, type of perspective, which is where most people, corner chiropractors in, but it really has a bigger neurological impact, okay? You have a sixth sense in your body. Everybody does. We call it your proprioceptive system. It's your brain's ability to know where your body is in space, okay? You have these little receptors everywhere. In every single joint of your body, you have them. And it's why movement is so important to give your brain information about, what's going on around you, okay? What most people don't know is that in your spine, the proprioceptors are more densely packed, are more densely located. And so if you have a problem in your spine, it weighs heavier on the brain than as if you couldn't move your finger or something like that. And the reason why that's important, so it's a lot of background information, why the poor movement in your spine is important, because if your brain isn't getting information about what's going on in your environment, it's going to trigger a certain state of neurology. We call it your sympathetic or your fight or flight, aspect of your autonomic nervous system. And this is okay in the short term because it's designed to help your body survive, but it's terrible in the long term because living in chronic stress starts to affect behavior, it starts to affect hormones, it starts to affect your digestive system, and therefore your immune system, and therefore everything is now connected to what's going on with this state of stress. And so by identifying the subluxation, we apply the chiropractic adjustment, which is movement into the joint. Movement then stimulates this proprioceptive system, which gives the brain more information about what's going on in the external environment and allows it to switch off this state of stress and put your body back into a state of ease, which then allows the space for your body to grow and develop as it's supposed to, whether it's fixed digestive issues, whether it's cognitive or developmental milestones. So that's the beauty of what I do, is I'm not diagnosing or changing a kid as much as I am giving their body the best chance to express and engage and perceive and process life just like more of a neurotypical person.
That is so fascinating. My mind is just spinning now thinking about all of that and how it all relates to each other and is so intertwined. That's so interesting. So then tell me, a parent who is new to all this, who says, okay, I want to give this a try. I want to maybe have a consultation with you or get this process started. Can you kind of explain what that would look like for them? What getting the whole process rolling, what that looks like?
Yeah. Every chiropractic office is different. And this is why this interview is so important, because if you're seeking a chiropractor specifically for special kids, or special needs kids, I don't recommend that you go to any chiropractor that because they're everywhere. You want to have somebody that's more specially trained and thinks the way like I just described. Because some chiropractors like just seeing low back pain or neck pain or migraines or whatever, and that's okay. Just like you have some MDs that like to see this, some speech pathologists. There's a specific niche of us that you want to make sure that you're seeing. So I'll describe the way an initial office goes in my office, and then most people that operate in this niche like me practice relatively similar and use the same tools. So we do a consultation first, and this is to help us figure out, is there a source or a cause for the subluxation? So we call them the 3 T's. There's traumas, toxins, and thoughts or emotions. So we'll go through the birth process. This is typically when the first traumas occur. Whether it's a cesarean birth, a doctor-assisted birth, like with forceps or a vacuum, or a long birth, or a really quick birth, or twins, like all those things are traumas to the spine that could have caused the brain to go into that state of stress or fight or flight from day one. The second thing that we go through is toxins. So any pharmaceuticals that the mom took, any pharmaceuticals that the baby got, by the time they're 4 or 5, usually there's some sort of antibiotic use or something like that. So that's a source of stress to the spine and the brain. And then finally, thoughts or emotions. So we go through, is there any stress during pregnancy? Is there any stress during the labor and delivery? Was there any emotional stress throughout up until now? And most of the time we'll see, oh yes, I lost my job, especially in 2020 and whatnot now, or our parents got a divorce, or there's something that goes on that is a huge emotional stress. So that's the purpose of our history or consultations, to figure out, is there a reason to believe that a subluxation exists in your spine. The second thing that we do, I guess I just put up one for you. The second thing that we do is we call it our insight or CLA subluxation scans. And so we're measuring 2 different things. The first one we're measuring is inflammation in the spine. And so it's got 2 infrared cameras, and I should have brought it in here. And it rolls up the spine. It's very non-invasive. It might tickle a little bit, but other than that, there's no pain, poking, prodding, test tubes, or anything like that. And that gives us really good insight on the health of the spine from an autonomic perspective, whether the spine is in a state of stress or in a state of ease. The second thing that we do is called surface EMG. The long word is surface electromyography, and we're measuring the tone of the spine, okay, the muscles that are holding up the spine. The more stress you're in, the tighter those muscles are going to be, and the less movement that your joints are going to have. And it's kind of, we call it a stress NATO, where more stress in the spine means more stress in the brain, means more stress for the whole body, and it keeps on winding itself tighter and tighter and tighter, which is why when I start to see a kid with epilepsy or like really deeply ingrained neurological stress, we see spines that are really, really tight and really, really inflamed. And those 2 diagnostics give me an idea of where the problem is and how bad the problem is, so that I can then lay out a plan. And so our second visit, we go over the plan together. So I'll let you know, here's what I found. Here's how bad it is. Here's how I can help you. Here's how many adjustments. Here's how long it's going to take. So you actually have an idea of what to expect when, which I think is actually kind of different in the autism world, where you kind of get, this is what's wrong. This is what we're going to do. We don't, this is indefinite, or, we're going to do this for however long. And so most offices that work with kids with autism use the same techniques and use the same diagnostic tools to figure out, the plan and whatnot. And I know a lot of moms think like, there's no way my kid is laying on the table and gonna let you adjust their neck, whatever, like you see on YouTube. And most of them do, to be honest with you, which is, it's just kind of surprising. And we do that first adjustment. I would say 80% of the time the kid starts laughing, because they get a rush of endorphins into their body and their brain triggers off that fight or flight distress response for the first time. And they're like, okay, that's different, that's new. But if the kid really is super sensitive, which we have these as well, there's multiple different techniques that we use to get the adjustment done. Because again, the most important thing is to stimulate movement or energy into those joints. And so we have multiple different techniques that are, all of them are non-invasive, but they go from hands-on, manual adjustment to less and less and less and less, I guess, touchy for those really, really sensitive kids.
Interesting. Okay. This is really fascinating to hear about. So tell us, what is the inspiration behind what you do? What got you into this?
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to be a chiropractor from high school. I can remember one of my football coaches, saying, so you want to be a chiropractor, on having this conversation, calling it quackery or, whatever. And I didn't care. That I knew that's what I wanted to do. But instead of seeing like the moms and kids, kind of like a family wellness special needs practice, I wanted to be a sports chiropractor. And so that's how I chose my school and whatnot. In my second year in chiropractic school, second year out of like 3.5, so I'm pretty much done. I went to a seminar, and a guy from Stage, who's one of my mentors, his practice is Premier Wellness Chiropractic, named Tony Evil. He said, I can't imagine how frightening it must be for kids to be locked out of a world they want to be a part of. And every time I say it, I get the chills. Every time I say it, it's like, okay, let's put this in perspective. I'm going to help. I wanted to be the Raiders chiropractor. I want to help 22 men destroy themselves and not care about their bodies. Or I can pivot and help moms like you searching for, I just want to help my kids smile, or say mom, or say I love you, or sleep, or poop. Like the most basic things that we take for granted. You mean the work that I can do as a chiropractor can help moms experience that without drugs, without surgery, without being tied to insurance or anything like that. And so that's when I knew, like, this is my calling. This is what I want to do. And my main reason for going into it is not only the effects of what the kid can achieve as a result of getting chiropractic care and living in a state of ease, but what the parents get to, and the siblings get to, achieve as well. I know there's a lot of support groups for siblings that have kids with special needs, because they're often not in a bad way, but kind of left behind. They don't have as much attention. They don't have as much what can feel like love. And a lot of the parents, and I'm sure you're well aware of this as well, like a normal divorce rate is not good. It's like 40 or 50%. But a divorce rate with parents that have kids, with autism is much higher, 70, 80%. And I've seen that in my practice. And so I decided I'm going to help these kids learn, to express their emotions properly, to be less impulsive, hopefully show, some sort of emotion and love back, so the parent feels like a parent instead of a caregiver. And maybe that would relieve some financial stress, because they don't have to go to a whole bunch of services. Maybe that will relieve some emotional stress, because the mom or dad isn't burnt out by the end of the day. And maybe that would allow the parents to continue to stay connected, so that way we can preserve family. Because I think family is the building blocks of community. If we have poor families, we're going to have poor community. And if we have poor community and we don't work together, it's going to lead to, a United States of America that's very different than, in a bad way than what we've lived in. And so I'm trying to create a better world for my 1-year-old and my 4-year-old, so that way they have a prom date. They have an opportunity to live life as I have, enjoyed to live. And so that's really the passion and inspiration for why I do it.
I love it. I love that quote that you shared from your mentor. That's such a good one. And such I think a way to encapsulate it, from a way that parents can understand of. Absolutely. That is absolutely one of our biggest fears, is our children not being able to participate in a world that they want to be a part of.
Yeah.
So I love that. Okay, so then tell us, what is the most challenging thing about what you do and what's the most rewarding?
Yeah, I would say the most challenging thing, and I would say, I, I don't know. I guess I got to be careful how I say it. A lot of the times, the moms are the ones coming in, doing the appointments, connecting with me, understanding the value of it, ready to go, and they go home and talk to their husbands, and their husbands just put it off to the wayside. Like, no chiropractor is going to help with this or that or the other thing. And these kids don't get the opportunity to experience chiropractic care because the parents aren't in agreement. And I know it's why a lot of kids have not started care, because the husband just can't get on board. Because really what we do is very different. It's not like you're buying pills and giving them, and that you can see like it's an adjustment. And oftentimes it takes me less than 30 seconds to do the work that I need to do. And they just can't wrap their heads around, we are much more denser skulls or something like that. Or maybe we just don't have to deal with the kids all day because we're worried. I don't know what the difference is, but I think that is the biggest challenge. And so if we can jump on board with our wives and really try to understand what they go through, look at the science, don't just push it aside or categorize chiropractic into this massage, acupuncture, Ayurvedic, foo-foo-y, and not calling those things foo-foo, but more of like a, I don't know, no science to prove it, or, things like that. It's like, we actually have a lot of science, we have a lot of logic and reason why this would help. And we are the doctors that are actually listening to your wives and to your kids, rather than just doing a 5-second consultation saying, this is what you have, and going out the door. So I encourage you to go to those appointments and meet the chiropractor, experience, what that's all about. And the second challenge, I would say is follow through, because sometimes it takes us a few months before you start to see your first light of change. And that's hard. It's hard to stick with that. And I'm thankful that that doesn't typically happen with my patients. Usually we see something, pretty quickly. But that's the other thing, is sticking with it for 4 or 5 months or 6 months, however long it takes is pretty difficult. So that would be my other encouragement. If your chiropractor gives you a 4-month, 5-month, 6-month, 9-month plan, stick it through. It's going to be worth it. The higher you build, the better, or the more building blocks you stack on top. Each adjustment is adding and adding and adding. It's kind of like you continue to put money into a 401k or retirement or whatever. For 50 years, it means nothing to you. And then you retire, and all of a sudden, you're living the good life. So I would think of it like that. You're continuing to put deposits, even though you're not getting a return right away, you're going to see it. I would say my favorite things are, one of my littlest ones right now, she's not necessarily on the spectrum, but she's having some really bad problems, with constipation. And that can be really scary. You can get a fever, then you can go to febrile seizures, you can be stuck on Miralax, there's a whole bunch of things. And so talking about poop pretty much every adjustment is amazing. Just having these fun conversations with kids, like, how are you pooping, kid? And kids really enjoy that. What doctor talks about their poop, or gets on their level. Seeing these kids laugh after they get adjusted, seeing them want, I'll do an adjustment, I'll have a kid that'll put my hand, back on his neck because he's asking for more. Like, it's just really seeing these kids, seeing the light come back in these kids' eyes is really just humbling. And I take it for granted every single day, because we see I don't know, anywhere from 50 to 100 patients a day, and I go home, and the days that I just sit back and reflect, like, wow, that happened. You could go to a medical office and I could ask a medical doctor, like, when was the last time this happened to you? And they could go months before seeing the changes that we see in just 1 or 2 visits. And so I think that's the times where I sit back and just reflect and just be like, that was amazing. That's a small deal to me, but that's a big deal to that person.
Yes. And and to your point of, letting, you have to give things time to work. That's true of anything. I mean, yeah. Money you spend on speech therapy or OT or ABA or anything like that, it's not like, oh, you go in for 1 session and everything's fixed. That's the expectation, is it takes time, it takes multiple visits to really get that going. So I think that's not unreasonable to expect from a chiropractor as well. Okay, so my last question for you is then, what's just something about you, a parent that's considering working with you, what's something you'd like them to know?
Sure. I wish I could just pick up my laptop and show you a tour of my office. One of the things that I am a big stickler on is not having a sterile place, not having a doctory place. So when you walk into my office, you can see, a video tour like on Instagram or, whatever. But it's a big wide open space so the kids don't feel enclosed. There's a chalkboard for them to write on. There's rock pillows. We got ceilings that are like 20 feet high. They can throw them if they want to. We got a fake fireplace and a TV and a mantle. Everything is designed to feel like you're just coming to my house. This is my work attire, right now. I don't wear a white coat. I don't have a stethoscope. I don't have anything remotely scary. The scariest thing that I have is it's an arthrostim, but I call it my tickle gun. So even the scariest thing that I have isn't even scary. And I try to provide a safe, healing environment for these kids, because if the kids are stressed coming, I lose. We're not going to get work done. And so I try to provide as calm, as caring, as peaceful, as funny, as, just we give stickers on the way out if they want one, just an environment that they are going to go home and be like, that was cool. Like that. I like that experience. I liked being around those people. I liked being around those cute front desk girls that took me on their lap and I could play on the computer, or, that's the biggest thing that's the most important to me, is if these kids can come and feel heard and feel loved and paid attention to, like, we win. And then you add the adjustment on that, and then we're just going to get exponential results. So that's, I feel like, the biggest difference that we make sure of in our office, and most of the other chiropractors that see kids on the spectrum are like me, where it's like we want to provide them such an amazing experience that even if we didn't get an adjustment, they left happy, they left healthier. Even if it's just in the mind, we know that they got a good experience.
That's awesome. I love that so much. Okay, guys, so if you are interested in learning more about Dr. Chris Boman or his practice, you want to go see him, anything like that, I'm going to have a link in this video to his profile where you can see more information about him and then contact him from there if you'd like. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. And like I said, this is something new I'm learning as well, and I love learning new things. So this is so exciting, and I think going to be eye-opening for a lot of parents.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. If I'm not in your area, you can feel free to message me and I can help find someone. Two really quick resources that you can use to find a chiropractor in your area that is well trained. One is the ICPA, the number 4 kids. That's a network of pediatric chiropractors. That's my main source that I would say, to go to. The other is the Pediatric Experience. I don't know if they have like a catalog, or I don't know, a directory, yet. I know they're building one. There's a couple other really good ones that I'll just email you, when they pop up. But the ICPA for kids is usually the number 1.
Awesome. Thank you so much again. And this was great. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.